Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Sunday! This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, game day live edition, live at Taj Lounge 973, the home of the famous Catfish Vinny. I'm your host, Samu, here with Vinny Parisi, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. Vinny, look at this. Look at this. Catfish,
unbelievable.
Catfish. When the Devils play at the Prudential Center and we're here doing pregame, and when I eat the catfish, they're undefeated so far. Undefeated at home when we eat the catfish. Tried the lobster tail pasta last time. Didn't work out too well. We'll have to work on that, Vinny. But what a game last night as the Devils defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh 4-2. Let's start off with that line with Johnsson, Bratt. How about that line?
It's fun. And that was one of the more impressive New Jersey Devils wins that I've seen over the last 5 or 6 years early in a season, just because the Pittsburgh Penguins, they've won multiple cups. Sidney Crosby was back for the first time this season. They had all the hype. And this line of Mercer, Bratt, and Johnsson, they took over. And when you're centered by a kid who just turned 20 a couple days ago, it's exciting. And with all some of the things they've built over the last 3 or 4 years leading up to this point are nice. They won a couple lotteries, but they kind of made their own little lottery luck there by a real find in Mercer. And, Bratt started off with some struggles. He got benched last game because he doesn't know how to skate. And, he showed, I do know how to skate, and I'm very good at it, and I'm going to prove you all wrong. And so he was awarded a penalty shot, something you don't see in hockey very often, but it's the most exciting play that the sport has to offer. And he didn't miss, and it ended up being the GWG.
I'll tell you, Vinny, I hate to say it, but I love watching Jesper Bratt, the game after he gets benched, or the series of games where you kind of just make him mad, something to prove, like he belongs on the roster. And I said this on Devils After Dark, our post-game podcast. I said this, if you watched him yesterday as he got mauled by Sidney Crosby, he's hurt, he's on the bench, he's counted upon to take that penalty shot, you knew he was going to score. You can see it. And then after he scored, and I mentioned this, he went to the Devils bench, didn't over-celebrate, and he had the look that we got 3 more minutes, boys. Let's close it. And did they close it? Man down, 6-on-4. And then Andres Johnsson scores that empty netter to seal the deal. The Devils have had trouble actually closing out games. It was nice to see that they held the Pittsburgh Penguins over 5 on the power play and also close out that game, 4-2 victory. All positive things.
Yeah, so in game 1 against the Blackhawks, they broke. They allowed the Hawks to tie it with the goalie pulled 2 goals in the last 5 minutes of the game. And then they won in overtime. So it's like, okay, bend but not break, even though you did kind of break. And then in game 2 against Seattle, it was a very similar situation. Seattle only got 1 goal. They never ended up tying it. So that was good. Now you take another step. You don't let Pittsburgh score at all. In fact, right when they pull the goaltender, Jari's heading to the bench, and he tries to play a little defense himself while trying to get to the bench. Andreas Johnsson says, nope, we're not going to be dealing with that today. I'm just going to put it in the empty net right now. We're not playing any games. We're going to close this out and back home to play the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah, so the BJs are in town. Got off to a good start. Right now, Devils coming off from a back-to-back. Some confidence. Jack Hughes out 5 more weeks. We said that yesterday. they're coming together as a team right now. The Devils are right now 4-2 in the month of October, with the chance of going 5-2. You think that's going to happen?
Yeah, I do. Columbus is a hit or miss team. They have players that can allow them to win. They get good goaltending from time to time. Every now and then you'll see them get blown out. What the Rangers did to them a couple days ago was annoying to watch as a Devils fan because we all hate the Rangers, but it was a positive for Devils fans and like, hey, they could do that too. So, we've seen them have hot Octobers in the recent past, and then we all know how November has gone historically lately. So finish the month strong, bank those extra 2 points if you can, and there's a long season ahead. So we'll see what happens from there. But against Columbus, you just got to be hard on the puck. You need some saves from the goalies, and it'd be nice to see the D chip into the offensive rush a little bit if they can take advantage of a less depth-filled Columbus team than we're used to.
Hey, Vinny, there's a lot of social media chatter on our social media pages. If you go to YouTube Live, the channel is Let's Go Devils. Tony P. writes, Samwu, you need to get a Utica Comets Holtz jersey. He's obviously ripping it up. Utica loves him. Utica has forgotten about the Vancouver Canucks. They love New Jersey again. Just excellent scoring. I agree with you, Tony P., before he comes up to the big club called the New Jersey Devils. And also Lee Plays. Again, this podcast, we're global. He's from the UK. He's chiming in. That's why I kind of love these earlier matinee games, because people overseas are just chiming in. He says, afternoon, love these earlier games here in the UK. Means I don't have to stay up half the night. Ha, ha, ha. Thinking 3-1 win tonight to make it 5-2 for the season. I love the spirit of our international Devils fans. If you remember when we went over to Europe, they all came out, guys dressed in kilts. It was an amazing thing. Also, we are the #1 New Jersey Devils podcast in the country of India. Huge population out there. Someday we're going to do a podcast out there. Also, Facebook Live, Nate says, Sidney Crosby came back only to cost his team the game. Love it. Love the trash talking. This is what it's all about, right, Vinny?
Yeah, he made some nice plays yesterday. Bernier deserved that shot that Gensel made, and it was a nice pass from Sid, and Bernier just flashed the leather a little bit there. I think it was a lucky call on the Jesper Bratt penalty shot, but, the Devils get a lot of bad calls go against them these days too, so I'm not sitting here mad about it in any way. I'm happy it happened the way it did, but yeah, Sid creating the penalty shot yesterday is kind of just funny after the way the fans were like, oh, of course he comes back the day they're playing the Devils, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's always good to beat Sidney Crosby. I viewed that game as kind of just a measuring stick of where the Devils, really are at. To get the first road victory. Now, remember last year, the Devils were terrible at home, just terrible. But last season was a little bit of a kind of different type of season under the circumstances of a worldwide pandemic, whatnot. The Devils were road warriors at times last season. You know what? If Devils pull out a victory here, I think it's safe to say they figured out how to win at home. But also, if they can keep their road warrior ways, because, as you know, Devils fans travel well on the road, especially sunny Florida, Raleigh, North Carolina, Boston, Philadelphia, Madison Square Garden. They do, and the West Coast. Don't forget about the West Coast, because the Devils will, after this game, will be traveling out West Coast. Scotty, Devils After Dark. Also, Let's Go Devils podcast, Sunday edition. Scotty from SiriusXM is going to be meeting Devils fans out there. We're going to be doing live podcasts outside of Staples Center, outside of Anaheim's arena and whatnot. Just wanted to plug that in there. But we've got fans all over the place. And if the Devils keep that road warrior mentality, and they start winning at home consistently, I would find themselves to be doing pretty well in the Metropolitan Division.
Yeah, last year they were pretty good on the road, as you mentioned, not good at home, and it's kind of seeming like they're going to start playing a little better at home this year. You wonder if fans being back in the building has a little bit to do with it. I'm sure it does, at least on a small level, and we know that a small advantage, even in hockey, is a big advantage in the grand scheme of things. We talked on the last show about how the Devils kind of played well against Pittsburgh, and we both kind of agreed that they do well against Pittsburgh. And then I looked at the record from last year, and they went 2-6 against Pittsburgh, and like lost their last 5 in the season series. And so I want to say it's like 3 wins in their last 11 games against the Penguins, which is not a lot, even though we have this perception that they play well against them. But I think last year kind of like reminded us that, yeah, the Devils have a long way to go. And so getting off to a good start against them this year was good on the road. And keep playing well on the road, Devils. And then when you get back home, take care of your business in front of the fans.
Yeah, and last year's last year. I hope the Devils can finish off this month of October 5-2, which would be, if you asked me in the beginning of the season, I'd be hoping for a 500 start. I didn't want to put too much expectations because we forget the team is young, but to go 5-2, knowing that Jack Hughes was out for most the start of the season, I mean that's a huge accomplishment. And then as you move into November, you're starting back on the road, West Coast, not an easy schedule. Start times are around 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Out in L.A., Anaheim, San Jose. It's going to be a big challenge, but they got to take care of business tonight at the Rock against the.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's funny because the California road trip used to be like this vaunted road trip, like, oh, nobody wants to go play the Sharks, the Kings, and the Ducks all on the road.
Yeah.
And then like all 3 teams started to cool off a little bit, started a bit of a retool, especially Anaheim and LA, and now you see San Jose leaning more towards that way, even though they have some big contracts. But the year that all 3 teams were at their worst, the Devils didn't even play them. So, It's not an easy road trip at all. So I think beating Columbus today is very, very important. And then you go try and split that hard road trip. Even though the teams aren't the Stanley Cup contenders that they were 5-6 years ago, they're still very good. There's the Erik Karlssons and the Brent Burns and the Kopitars. There's great players all over the place down in California. So get it done today here in New Jersey against Columbus.
I have a little bit of a theory. Last year's home woes. I mean, I remember going to that March 2nd game when they finally opened up to limited capacity. Do you know how annoying that artificial sound in the background? I thought that was just on for TV. No, they actually played it inside the arena while the players were playing, and I couldn't carry a conversation with the person next to me. It was just annoying background noise. Also, the limited capacity. If you were to compare March 2nd, 2021 to opening night against the Blackhawks, big difference. Big difference. You have that electricity. You have the 7th skater, the fans cheering you on. It looked like a different team. And that could be one of the biggest reasons why they're playing better at home. Now, they did have their problems against Washington. There was a big effort letdown against the Flames, but they started to creep back in. I think Lindy Ruff and the coaching staff got their message across, and that's why I expect a different, even though maybe a little fatigue coming back from Pittsburgh, I expect a different result effort-wise in the first period, because last time against the Flames, 4 unanswered goals left Nico Dawes, stranded. Not his fault. I would expect the Devils to put a much, much better effort in the first period.
Yeah, and that's important because so the Devils have 3 losses, right? Or no, 2 losses. The Calgary Flames and the Washington.
4-2.
Yeah, the Calgary Flames and the Washington Capitals. The Calgary Flames are beating everyone in sight, and they're doing it pretty handedly. And then the Washington Capitals are probably a top 5 team in the last decade. Ovechkin has 9 goals already. Like, those types of losses are going to happen to teams that are just a little bit better than you in that present moment. And it also doesn't mean you can't beat those teams, but you understand when they lose. And in both of those losses, they got off to a horrid start and then kind of climbed back in as the game went along. And you started thinking to yourself towards the end of the second period in both games, like, oh, they might not win, but there's a chance they come back here. And one of these days, they're going to complete one of these comebacks. I do believe that. But against everybody else, they've kind of like played good, sound hockey games and collected 4 wins out of 6. So I'm with you. Start off well in the first period, and you give yourself a chance. If you give up 3 or 4 goals in the first period, your chances of winning the hockey game, not so great.
Yeah, this is the Let's Go Devils podcast, live at Taj Lounge 973, 35 Edison Place, across the street from the Prudential Center. We're pre-gaming. This is Game Day Live. Vinny Parisi, Sam Wu. So, okay. How would you did we even find out who's starting, who's in net against the Blue Jackets?
I believe it is going to be
Everything goes through the Devils, Devils news people right now, and it's like I keep on checking. It's the same old thing. The theme this year. Who's in net? I would expect Wedgwood, right?
I'm expecting Wedgwood. Amanda hasn't tweeted a single thing today revolving hockey. I definitely think it's going to be Wedgwood because of the fact that it just doesn't seem like Blackwood's ready yet. Ruff hasn't confirmed he wasn't playing today, but he confirmed ahead of time that he wasn't playing yesterday. So Wedgwood was the backup to Bernier, and I don't see Bernier starting the second half of a back-to-back when he started the night before. Although it wouldn't be the worst idea.
He had a nagging injury. Injury. You need Bernier.
That's the thing.
We went with the Dawes-Wedgwood tandem for a little bit there. You know what? Wedgwood hasn't excited me, but at the same time, I think he can step it up for at least one game. And like he did last season, he had a couple good games there. But I wouldn't mind seeing Wedgwood in net. I just need to see a healthy Jonathan Bernier before Mackenzie Mac Black comes back.
Yeah, and I thought he played well yesterday. He kind of got let down on that second goal that he gave up. The puck squirted right in front, and he buried it. I believe it was McCann, not McCann. I don't even remember exactly who it was for Pittsburgh, but he scored, and it was a puck that popped in front, and there was not much Bernier can do. And he only gives up 2 to a team that has some really good offensive players like the Pittsburgh Penguins, and from that moment on, they took care of their business. If you have 2 good goalies in the NHL, and I believe Bernier and Blackwood are 2 very good goalies in the NHL, especially Blackwood. I mean, I think Blackwood has potential to be like a Team Canada guy, and he's on their short list. It's important to a team that's young like that, and they might give up a chance here and there when Jesper Bratt falls trying to make a play. You need a big save every now and then, and those 2 guys can provide it more often than not. So hopefully if Wedgwood does get the start today, he's able to show us that he is a good third-string goalie in case any nagging injury or someone needs a day off or something.
Yeah, you should see outside here. The one day I didn't set up the camera because it was such an early start, I didn't have much time, but outside Edison Place, it's full of New Jersey Devils fans right now. Everyone out having a good time, beers in their hand. It's pretty cool. Outside of Taj Lounge 973. I wish I could turn around the camera, Vinny, to show you, but it's a happening place right now. Everybody's smiling, after years of just disappointment. Devils are relevant right now. End of October, looking pretty good, but big game today. One game at a time. Big game today. If they can finish 5-2, 4-2 at home, which would be a huge. I mean, how many home wins did they have last year? 5? I forgot.
Yeah. It certainly wasn't a lot. We haven't even mentioned that today's Halloween, and people are out enjoying their
Oh
time.
yeah,
The last day of
yeah.
October, dressing up as Devils fans. That's the best costume you could possibly be. So hopefully the Devils can provide some holiday magic for them. And I definitely think it's not going to be long before they match their win total from all of last year at home. I think you're on to something there.
Yeah, and again, we talked about this, and I'm beating a dead horse. This is the time to get your points. What if you want to make a playoff run? The key thing about yesterday's game was not only did Sidney Crosby, pulled off a dangerous play. Not only did Sidney Crosby come back, but he may have cost the team at least a point because that game was pretty much going into overtime. And these 3-point games are a killer if you're trying to move up in the standings, especially with a team like the Devils, who would be hovering in that 6th, 7th, 8th spot wherever they lie, or the top, on the 3rd spot in the Metropolitan Division. So to get 2 solid points, the Penguins get nothing. That's huge, and they got to repeat that tonight in regulation, against the Blue Jackets. Now, their victory against the Blackhawks was the 3-point game. I believe was the Kraken 3-point game? No, they won in regulation, right? No.
Yeah.
But those are West Coast teams. Who cares? They're the West Coast teams. Doesn't matter. But in division rivals, especially the Blue Jackets, especially the Pittsburgh Penguins, Rangers, Flyers, Capitals, you got to win regulation.
Yeah, there are some teams that are clearly destined to be around that bubble with the Devils. I think the Blue Jackets are probably out. If I had to peg a team right now to come in last in the Metro, it probably would be the Blue Jackets. But then again, that team every single year, sometimes they just figure it out and they find ways to win games by committee. And so, I respect that franchise very, very much. I always have and talk highly of them. They've dealt with some crap over the years with coaching and players and a bunch of trades. But with the Western Conference teams, I don't care if it's a 3-point game, like you said. Like, who cares if the Kraken get a 3rd point? Like, it doesn't matter to me. But, and then there's the top teams in the Metropolitan that, I think are going to make the playoffs no matter what the Devils do. And, Washington and the Islanders come to mind. I think those 2 teams are, they're probably going to the playoffs. So if they can, get one of those games to overtime, it doesn't bother me as much as, if it were a bubble team like Pittsburgh, like Philly, like New York Rangers. So I'm with you on the 3-point stuff.
Yeah, and let's go over predictions tonight. This is going to be a tough one, coming off from a good feel-good victory over the Penguins. Coming into tonight, they'll be a little tired, knowing that there is a West Coast swing coming up. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I do think the Devils are going to come out. It wouldn't surprise me if they come out a little flat-footed against the Blue Jackets. I think that team is hungry and they're a well-organized team. And like I said before, I respect them as a team and don't think the Devils are going to be taken lightly by any means. So, and they're probably going to get a good effort in net. So I'm going to go with. I do think after the Devils figure it out though, and maybe get their legs under them a couple minutes into the game, I do think the talent will prevail. So I actually have the Devils taking this one 5-4.
High scoring game, huh?
Yeah, we're taking the over in this one, I think.
I think that Dawson Mercer is going to go out there, and that motor is going to be running, and I think he's going to have a great game. He had a great game yesterday. A lot of them had a great game. Jimmy Vesey had a great game with that shorthanded goal. Also, Andres Janssen, he's great. He's been good. But I'm going to say that Heischer and Mercer are going to lead the team. 4-1 victory over the Blue Jackets. I'm going to go that route.
All right, I like that. If there was a kid on the team to be all hyped up from Halloween candy, I think Mercer would be the best option for that,
Oh,
being that
yeah.
he's
More sugar, pixie
barely out of high
sticks.
school. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know if I were in the NHL and I were in my early 20s, I would be dummying candy before a game on Halloween. It wouldn't even be close. I would want as much energy possible on a game like for a game like that. So hopefully the youngsters do enjoy those pixie sticks and maybe a Snickers.
Absolutely. Also, be live after the game. Devils After Dark. Scotty and I. Scotty from SiriusXM, Liquid Metal from Beverly Hills, California, recapping the game. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern, Let's Go Devils podcast. Shorts Guy, Beer Baron, Scotty, and I will recap the week that was. And also, I want to thank all those that have been listening to our podcasts after the game in their cars. The month of October, we surpassed 15,000 downloads, a new record for the Let's Go Devils podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll see you after the game. Keep it here. Let's Go Devils podcast. This is Game Day Live. Enjoy the game, everybody. Let's go Devils.